and welcome to Bread and Thread, a podcast about food and domestic history. I'm Liz.
I'm Hazel. We're two people who studied archaeology together and love history. So, what's been going on? What has been made in your house? Okay.
So, if you don't mind, I would like to start the making and baking this week because I have finished
Sure.
my reversible chameleon.
Oh, yes. I have seen pictures of this and it's amazing.
If you want to see pictures of my beautiful reversible chameleon, they are on my Instagram, which is _invisible_goats_ because I'm invisible goats everywhere, however many underscores I have to add.
But you can see them.
Yes. Well, I mean, you can't if you're listening to this, but I am perceivable. But also since, because it was May Day a few days ago as of recording, me and Nick also made some scones, and we managed to somehow, in the midst of everything, get hold of some clotted cream. It
Well
was just a good
done.
time. Such a good
Oh, that was
time.
great. Yeah.
How about you?
Um, yeah, well, I tried to have a little May Day celebration. Normally I would go to Hastings, which has it's like a small town on the south coast, an amazing May Day celebration with like lots of people dressed in green and a big like somebody in a massive tree costume called the Jack. And there's like processions and drums and stuff, and it's fun times. And there's Kaylee's as well.
Do they have a
Um,
maypole?
sorry,
Do they have a maypole?
there is a maypole. Yeah.
Very important.
Um, it it's a good time. Lots of music, lots of dancing. But as you might expect, I did not do that this year. um, which makes it about a year since I've been to Kaylee, which is terrible. Um, but yeah, so I tried to have a little celebration at home instead, and I made myself a little crown of leaves and ivy and stuff. And um, yeah, my mum made a tiny maypole, and we put it out like in the front of the house with stuffed toys dancing around it, and yeah,
It's very cute.
I think people enjoyed that. Um, but yeah, I've also been baking and stuff. Um, what did I make the other day? Oh, I made some wild garlic pesto,
Oh, cool.
which was really nice. There's a tiny patch of wild garlic, um, just round the lane from our house. Um, so yeah, I made like a pizza, but with well, this is going to sound extremely fancy. So I made this wild garlic pesto, which is like amazing. Um, it's like not as it's quite garlicky, but not in the same way as cultivated garlic. It's difficult to explain, but it like would recommend go and get some if there's any near you. Like it's free and it's delicious. But yeah, so I made wild garlic pesto and then I made pizza, but with that as the sauce instead of tomato.
That does sound good.
And it was good times, yeah, with like some bacon and mushrooms. Very woodlandy.
So, in that vein of woodlands and plants which are traditionally considered weeds, I would like to talk to you today about dandelions.
Awesome. I'm excited for this. I know like one or two uses of them, but not really that many or like why. So yeah, tell me about dandelions.
So, general introduction to the concept of dandelions. Um, they're members of the genus Taraxacum, which I enjoy. Um,
Ooh.
and the name means lion's tooth because of all the tiny pointy petals.
That's
even though they're
cool. I
yellow.
did
So
not know
like these lions are not practicing good oral hygiene.
that. Do you
Um,
know when they got that name?
I don't know exactly when. Just sort of high medieval. We know it was used then.
Okay, that I mean
Uh,
that makes sense with like
I haven't been able to
medieval
find
related
anything
to
earlier,
lions.
but there's. I mean, it comes from like Middle French, but the dandelions have existed for at least 23 million years.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it's one of those things like crocodiles where nature just went, "Yeah, this works," and just left it at that.
Well, if it ain't broke,
Well, exactly.
and the dandelion is not broke.
Um, yeah, so dandelions grow sort of most of temperate Eurasia. So obviously we find that in sort of Greek medicine, Chinese medicine, and actually adopted by some Native Americans after it was introduced to the US because they took it over for medicinal purposes. But dandelions do what dandelions want. So now they're firmly established in the US.
Okay. Yeah, they establish themselves quite well, don't they?
Yeah. Including in between the flagstones in my yard. I don't have a lawn. I live in an industrial terrace, but we have dandelions.
Wow. I mean, I guess after like several million years, you're probably going to be pretty hen.
Yeah, it's pretty much dandelions and buddleias are the two plants that you'll find everywhere. So the main medicinal use for dandelions pretty much everywhere is as a diuretic, which there is some evidence that it does work. Um,
Okay.
this is a clean podcast, so I cannot give you the English folk name for dandelions. But it's
Oh, can you tell me afterwards?
a word meaning urinate, a bed.
Okay.
There's actually, I don't know if you ever came across this, but a way that a lot of parents discourage their kids from picking dandelions is telling them it'll make them wet the bed.
Oh, I think I have heard that one.
And there's sort of an old wives' tale in northern Italy that they grow where dogs pee on the sides of pavements.
I kind of like that. I like the idea of a dog looking out at like a meadow full of dandelions and being like, "Oh, my work here is done."
But just the fact that this diuretic effect is so well known pretty much globally that everyone associates them with urine, not just because of the color, but just because of this thing is kind of beautiful to me. It's a urine flower.
Wow, a true moment of global unity.
So
So, are there any other uses for the dandelion?
dandelions have a lot of food uses. As you might have guessed from their coloring, they have a lot of vitamin C and A, so they're
Uh-huh.
actually quite nutritionally good for you. Um, Dandelions are one of those things, along with like pine needles, that it's if you have no access to citrus, have these because you'll have enough vitamin C to get by.
Ah, cool. Does that
Um,
not activate how does the diuretic effect get activated? Like if you eat it, is that also what happens or
just having like bits of the plants. Because I mean, dandelion and burdock is a well-known sort of British pop that obviously contains
Yeah.
dandelion root. I don't believe is a diuretic.
Okay. I mean, any more
Having
than
drunk a
usual.
large amount of dandelion and burdock in my life, I don't believe it to be a diuretic. Or if it is, it's a
I
mild
mean,
one.
if you drink a lot of anything, it's likely to have a diuretic effect anyway. So,
Yeah. But when we say diuretic in this case, it's less flushing you out like a purgative and more sort of to reduce water retention and swelling.
okay,
So it's more in the same way that like coffee's a diuretic.
I see.
And is edible. It's quite common, especially in Eastern Europe, to use them in salads, especially the leaves. They
Okay.
apparently have um yeah, apparently they
I
have
have a
like a
feeling I'm,
slightly peppery taste, kind of similar to rocket, but also slightly bitter,
yeah,
like spinach,
I have a
like a rockety spinach.
feeling that, cool. I have a
Yeah,
feeling that I've probably eaten dandelion salad at some point because it sounds like the kind of thing my mum would do.
it's big in Crete apparently. Um, and like I said, the roots are used in sort of herbal drinks and also as an alternative to coffee. I have not tried
Interesting.
this. I've only had dandelion and root in the context of dandelion and burdock, but I am intrigued.
Okay, well, I vote to get Liz to make dandelion coffee in the interest of science.
I cannot get to the roots without digging up my flagstones, and I think my landlord would be against that.
Well, you could always just go and deface public parks.
That's true. I mean, not right now because our local park is a building site because they're doing a load of flood works, but maybe in future.
I guess that makes sense. But like, in the future, there's always vandalism.
So the context that you probably heard of dandelions in is, I'm guessing, dandelion wine.
Yes. And I think I did mention that
Last
the other
episode.
episode, actually. Yeah.
I
Um,
think so. So
but
that's
yeah, I've never had it or anything.
that's made basically combining dandelion petals with generally with some citrus and hot water and just letting it go for a while, I guess. But you can also
I
combine
mean
that
that
liquid with pectin or something high in pectin to make dandelion jelly,
okay.
which was apparently a big thing during the Depression in parts of America,
Okay.
and apparently tastes similar to chamomile tea.
Ah.
There's a
I
great
would have thought
video
it would
about
be
dandelion jelly actually on Emmy Made in Japan on YouTube,
uh-huh.
and also deep fried dandelion flowers,
Wow. I
which
mean that doesn't sound too bad actually.
yeah, I mean there are a lot of flowers that taste very nice. I mean,
Hmm.
nasturtiums come to mind just because they're the flower that I've had, but there
Oh
are a lot of other
yeah,
edible
they can go
flowers.
in salad. Yeah, I've had in this session. Primroses you can eat. Yeah, a lot of flowers.
You can candy rose petals. That's a thing, isn't it?
Sorry, you cut out there. I didn't hear that.
So it's in candying rose petals is a thing.
Oh yeah, they were a really popular sweet at one point, weren't they?
Mm.
Um,
Um. So
violets, sugared violets.
oh yeah, I've come across that. So one thing I find really interesting is how vehemently against the concept of dandelions we are now with sort of the modern culture of pristine lawn.
Yeah, they are generally thought of as a weed, aren't they? I've seen so many weed killer adverts that specifically target dandelions.
Yeah, they always have these like evil gangster dandelions. But apparently, dandelion sandwiches at one point were a delicacy among Victorian gentry, which I find particularly interesting since they're the ones who sort of introduced the concept of middle class people having lawns.
Yeah, and also, I've I've always thought of dandelion because I kind of heard about, dandelion wine and dandelion coffee a little bit, and I've always seen that as like, I guess like the peasant alternative to thing like, foraging and free food and stuff. Um, so it's interesting to know that they became like a posh thing as well.
Yeah, but I mean, it's something rich people have always done, isn't it? It's the poor people are making something nice. We must take it.
Yeah.
Um, so that was the bread part of dandelions. The thread part is very small. Um,
Red
but the
part?
dried flowers can be used as a yellow dye.
Oh, no way.
And there's also been some research. Have you ever broken a dandelion stem and had that weird white liquid ooze out?
Yeah.
So that's actually a form of latex.
Oh.
So there's scientists in Germany who've created a high latex varietal that they're trying to use to make biodegradable tires.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Of all the things I did not expect to hear today. Wow. Is that, does it say when that would be available?
The article that I found was from 2016, and they
Okay.
said they'll be testing in the next few years. So I think not soon, but I think within our lifetime we could have dandelion tires.
The future is bright. The future is dandelion.
I really hope they're yellow.
Oh, that would be so great.
I realize they would naturally probably be white, but I want them to be yellow.
Yeah, I want to see like a big fancy sports car with bright yellow tires.
I think to be fair, if they did color them, it'd probably be like a good status thing. Like, look at my biodegradable yellow tires. Aren't you jealous?
Yeah, it
Aren't I
would be
great?
like it would be like the red sole on a pair of whatever designer brand that
Louboutin,
is. Louboutins.
Louboutin.
There we go. Oh.
Which I only know because of that one gif of Emma Thompson just chucking her high heels over her shoulder. So yeah, that
That's
is a brief introduction to why dandelions are good, actually. Apart from, bees like them and bees are important. Please be nice to bees.
yeah, just smile at the bees, make them happy, let them have the dandelions. They have so little. That's great though. I'm gonna try dyeing with dandelions, I think, this year.
Please let us know how it goes.
Yeah. When are the flowers over?
Well, I mean, ours are already starting to go.
Okay, I better get some quick then.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm sure no one would object to you on sort of on your daily outside time just going and plucking a load of dandelion heads.
I'm sure they wouldn't. The only problem is though, because it it the the mowing the green spaces and the verges thing is so insistent that they get kind of mowed down before you can get them.
That is a good point.
Because apparently we can't have a bit of long grass at the side of the road because then it would look terrible.
Clearly, we need to write to the Fraunhofer Institute for Molecular Biology and Applied Ecology and see if we can get some of their special latexy dandelions.
Please, we need them for podcasting purposes.
We get 100 patrons.
Thank you for that information. That is good to know.
So what's in the local larder today?
So it being Easter not that long ago, I was going to talk about hot cross buns.
Oh, I love a hot cross bun.
I love a hot cross bun too. Everyone loves a hot cross bun,
Nick,
except
do
for
you
people
love a
who
hot cross bun?
I love a hot cross
don't.
bun.
Yeah, see, I was right. Nick is every person. Okay. So, for anyone that hasn't had the incandescent joy of eating a hot cross bun, they are small buns like sweet bread. They're quite small. They're like about as big as the palm of your hand, and they are normally flavored with like cinnamon, and they have raisins in. Sometimes they have like dried candied peel in them as well. Um, and they have a cross on the top made out of flour and water paste. And normally you eat them, you cut them in half and you toast them and you put butter on and you eat them like hot with butter spread on it. And they're delicious, honestly. So they
Yeah, it's
are,
like a toasted tea cake, but more so.
yeah, it's kind of like I guess, a cakier tea cake,
Mm.
if that makes sense. Um,
I mean, I know what you mean, but then I've had hot cross buns.
yeah, it's like a cross between a bread and a cake, really, that in like texture wise. But yeah, can confirm they are delicious. So they're also very old, traditionally eaten at Easter time because the cross is supposed to represent the cross of the crucifixion. But interestingly, they apparently go back quite a long way because apparently in Saxon times, people were eating buns with crosses on the top as well. And it was supposed to represent like the four corners of hold on, sorry, I'm trying to find out where I put the note. Okay, yeah. So yeah, apparently the cross was also a pre-Christian symbol that symbolized like the four quarters of like the moon and the earth. So
The
yeah,
quarters of the moon?
sorry.
Oh, like what do you mean by the quarters of the moon and the earth? What
I'm
does
not
that
sure
mean?
exactly what it means by that. I think it's like the stages of the moon. So like the waxing and waning and full and new moon.
Okay.
Yeah. Which was quite important in the Celtic festivals. And there was originally a Celtic festival at Easter time as well. Now I'm not like I haven't studied religious history or anything, so I can't really make too many claims about whether or not Easter is a fully co-opted pagan festival or anything. I'm not going to go there. But the hot cross bun, it seems, is something that goes back to pre-Christian times. And the cross is a symbol used in both traditions. So the hot cross bun was eaten at other times of the year as well. Originally, they were sort of popular street food at a lot of different times. In fact, under Queen Elizabeth I, the hot cross bun was banned apart from a few special occasions because it was a bit too Catholic, all this crucifixion stuff.
That makes sense.
Hmm. So that might be why we don't associate it with other times of the year that much today. Although people,
And therefore sacrilege.
yeah, although people do eat hot cross buns, you can get them year round still, but they're most popular at Easter, just at that time. Another fantastic tradition, and I think this is my favorite fact that I found out about the hot cross bun, is that there's a superstition that hot cross buns baked on Good Friday don't go off. And so you can keep them for up to a year. And there is a pub in London where there are just hot cross buns hung up above the bar that are like about 100 years old.
I mean, even if they haven't molded, they must be rock hard.
You would have thought. I mean, apparently they aren't just totally they're not totally decayed. That they must be, you must be able to do some pretty good damage with them by now.
Break a window.
Yeah. Oh, the pub is it's called the Widow's Son. It's in Bromley. And there's a story about a widow who lived there with her son, and the son went off to sea and the mother waited for him, and every year she baked a fresh hot cross bun, but he never came home. And so the hot cross buns, like, she kept them all, and then they just ended up with all these buns. So I'm not entirely sure of the truth of that story, but
it's
there's a
one
lot
to
of
add
buns
to
in
the
that.
bread and thread road trip that we will one day do.
Yes, definitely. Oh no! Apparently, 20 years ago, a fire in the pub destroyed half of the buns.
Oh no! But that means they've still got half.
But
We
the
gotta
good
look on the
news
bright
is,
side.
yeah. The good news is, though, that the bun tradition has been revived, and you can, to this day, go and view the buns at the Widow's Son in Bromley.
Excellent.
So, yeah, buns are considerably more expensive than they used to be. There's a famous rhyme about hot cross buns being 1 or 2 a penny.
It's a good skipping song, that.
Yeah.
Should we do it?
We can do it if we know the same one. I think we know what it is.
Hot
Is it
cross
the one? It's
buns. Hot
hot
cross
cross
buns.
bun, 1 a
1 a penny, 2 a penny.
2 a penny, hot
Cross
cross
buns.
bun.
Give them. No, if you have no daughters,
Give them to your
give them
son.
to your sons.
1
1 a penny, 2 a penny. Hot
cross
cross buns.
buns.
Good luck editing that, Nick. You might want to just take a version.
Can you make us sound good?
Yeah, I always wondered about that if you have no daughters bit. Why do you give them to your daughter specifically?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe daughters get preference in the bun steak.
There's probably some sort of superstition about future husbands. It normally is.
I think there is. It's involved in the, like, if you can if you keep the bun for a year, you're sure to get married the next year or something like that. I mean, either that or you will have a very, very hard bun. There is a lovely superstition though, about sharing the buns. Um, that it's supposed to, if you share the bun, it ensures lasting friendship, which is quite adorable.
That is pretty great.
Yeah. Um, Now there's also a legend about a monk from St. Albans being the original person who put the cross on the bun. But there's not really any proof to that. Um, so yeah, despite the legends surrounding the hot cross bun, you know, the myth and the mystery, um, it's it's probably one of the like longest running recipes
That's pretty
that's
wild.
yeah, that's been traditionally eaten for yeah, maybe around 1,000 years, which is quite impressive.
Yeah.
Um,
So are hot cross buns a big thing outside of Britain?
um, I don't know if they're as big a thing, but I think in Australia and the US, um, and probably Canada as well by extension, like I think they're like a thing. And I think they are associated with Easter as well, because we have relatives in Australia, and they sent us some pictures of them eating hot cross buns
So
over the Easter weekend
do you
as
think
well.
that's something we've exported?
Yeah, I think the tradition got like exported along with the buns um, to a lot of the countries that British people emigrated to in large numbers.
They emigrated to.
You
That's a
know,
very
putting it
nice way of
mildly.
putting it. Colonized. We're terrible in
But you know, buns.
buns.
Yeah. So I think the recipe kind of varies a little, but generally the bun thing and the cross is the same. Um, I did make some buns a few weeks ago. I used Mary Berry's recipe, which is always a good bet. And they are delicious. So yeah, go for that if you get the urge to try some buns, and then keep them for a year and hang them in your living room.
Then share them with your friends and see whether you're still friends afterwards.
That is a good test of friendship. If someone actually eats the year-old bun and you're still friends, I guess you're going to be friends for a while. So there you go, buns.
Thank you. That was enlightening.
There's always a little wild fact or two hiding in quaint regional bread.
Yeah. This is why I love the local Larder segment.
It does. It has so many applications. Like, there's always something unexpected in the local larder.
So we hope you enjoyed today and that you do not feed your friends year-old baked goods. If you want to suggest an episode or a local larder, you can email breadandthreadpodcast@gmail.com.
You
Or
can also follow us on Twitter at Bread and Thread.
and don't forget that if you subscribe to our Patreon, you can get hold of recipes and instructional videos. And we will see you next time.